Hello, I will introduce you the newest software for Swiwin Auto Restart ECU and the GSU. The version is 1.1.6. I think this is the final version for our auto restart system. Let's take a look at the GSU function. First of all, RPM, the temp, the currency, how many ampere, capacity, how many milliampere you using during the battery, the voltage for power battery, the voltage for receiver battery, and the time means how long that's the time or this time you're running. The ACC means idle to 95% of maximum RPM. Acceleration time, RPM, temp, pump power. 3200 means 3.2 volt when maximum RPM. RC means your throttle position. And some different. The time is this time you use the running in running. This is the total time in running. Cycle 77 times. Stop RPM, stop temp, maximum RPM, and the speed is not available now, but we will have a GPS sensor to increase the maximum speed for limit speed function in future. And sometimes you can press the cancel for big screen. Let's take a look at the function. First of all, you will find the language. You can switch Chinese or English. And display all menu. Some menu is hide, but if you want to see that, you can open. For example, start up only 1, 2, 3, 4 parameters, but you want to display all menu. You press display all menu first. Now you will see every parameter will show you. Let's one by one to explain how the parameter works. First, start up. Start up is control the turbine start up from ignition to idle. The pump voltage means the voltage when ignition. ECU provides 0.4 volt to the pump. You can adjust it. If you find the pump cannot drop oil out during ignition, you can increase. Normally 0.4 to 0.5 is suitable. RPM startup ramp. It's control when ignition successful. This is RPM. When ignition is successful, and go to the preheat and to the clutch separate. We will see the RPM of the starter. That means clutch separate. The ramp, RPM ramp, 100% or 50%. or very slow increase RPM, 30% maybe. The RPM start ramp control the ramp of increase RPM during this time. This is RPM of starter. And the next is pump startup ramp. What does that mean? Before RPM of starter, during this time, the RPM control start by starter. Starter drive the turbine. The starter control speed of turbine. But after this point, we set, for example, 25,000, over 25,000 RPM. The clutch separate. The turbine keep running by itself. And the turbine will increase RPM by itself. This parameter control the fuel ramp for turbine to idle. For example, 50,000 RPM. This parameter, for example, this ramp is 3, and this ramp is 5, and this ramp is 1. If ramp is higher, it means the fuel provided to the turbine, the fuel ramp for the turbine is quickly. The RPM will increase at this range very quickly, but will bring a little bit fire. If you want to come slow, the ramp is slow, the turbine from 25,000 to idle RPM will increase very slow. It looks stable, but takes a lot of time. The next parameter is pump auto. What does that mean? When ignition, this is pump power. When ignition, this is preheat. This is RPM of starter. When ignition, the pump power is controlled by pump voltage, 0.4 during this time. Okay, when ignition successful, and will control by the pump power will control by pump auto. What does that mean? -3. If diesel, that means preheat is also 0.4 volt. Continue provide the power for provide the 0.4 volt to the pump using the same voltage. And if you find when preheat to RPM of the temp increase very fast and too high, you can reduce the parameter. In this case, it's -3. It means it will 0.3 or below 0.4. Okay. If you find after ignition successful and into preheat, but the temper is going down. That means you need increase fuel. You must increase fuel during preheat to RPM of starter, maybe 0.5. You plus this parameter. Okay, next is glow plug voltage. Normally, we recommend 6.6 or 6.8 for a new turbine. The glow plug like a lamp. If we use a long time, after a long time, and you find the ignition very slow and not easy to burn the fuel, you can increase it to 6.8. It's control glow plug heater. Okay, the gas valve is control the ignition electric valve of timing. Main valve control the main ignitor open timing. Ignition RPM 6,000. Preheat RPM 10,000. RPM of starter 25,000. This is startup manual. Now we see the running manual. RPM ACC it means RPM ACC curve. The idle is control low RPM side of RPM increased rate. The full controlled high RPM this area. If you want to increase the throttle response, you can increase full RPM. You will find the idle will change by itself. Okay, 150. Increase this number, this value will faster your throttle response. Maximum RPM, idle RPM, mini RPM means stop RPM, maximum temp, low voltage, restart valve or no. Restart power pump. When restart, the pump will provide a very short time of fuel into the turbine. You need to test your turbine during ground. When you pitch the fuel tube, the turbine will into auto restart. And if you find too big fire when auto restart, you can reduce this voltage. If you find the pump injection the fuel into turbine but cannot injection successful, you have two ways to fix it. One is increase restart glow plug, but only a little bit. 7.4 or 7.8 is maximum. Too high temperature will reduce life of glow plug. The second way is reduce preheat RPM. For example, 8,000. then it will more easy to keep auto restart successful. You need to try before you fly it. Okay, next it adjust the RC. Learn RC. Learn your remote control signal. Starter is control starter. Normally we don't need to change any parameter in starter. The cooling RPM, doing cooling. This is clear battery used. Now is 718. You press OK. Clean. Clean means the menu capacitor is already clean. Then maxima pump. This is only for the first time. If you reinstall the turbine into a new jet, the ECU don't know how the fuel line system situation. You can switch it. And then, when you start the turbine at the first time in your new jet, the ECU will ask you to stick up to the maxima. The ECU will automatically increase RPM very slow from idle to maximum RPM. The ECU will know how much power for pump to maximum RPM. This is ECU is learning. Okay. At adjust temp, the number now is jump because we have no connect to the turbine. We can adjust the temp by ourselves. The temp unit, Fahrenheit or Celsius. ECU version 1.1.16 and the GSU version 1.1.16. We can free upgrade for our customer by free. Just send your ECU and the GSU for us. We can free upgrade for you. This is test menu. Test the pump, test fuel valve, test the gas valve, test glow plug, test the starter. You can test it. This is a factory default setting. No need to set this. Data chart. You can use plus and minus 2 buttons to find the working situation of your turbine. If you meet sometimes no reason fan out, you can check it. You can check it why fan out to find the problem. Next one is language. In running menu, we have the new function for the ECU. It's named the pump limit. For example, in this case, 4.5 volt. What does that mean? When maximum RPM, the ECU provided 3.2 volt for the pump. But if the fuel tank or filter is not go smooth, the pump will increase power to keep maximum RPM. So the power will increase, always increase, but we have a limit. If we set a limit, maximum limit, pump limit, 4.5 volt, the ECU will limit maximum output for pump. If the pump power is increased, always increase to 4500, the power will not increase anymore, and will show you pump limit. It will advise you to check your fuel line system. This is a new function.